Good afternoon. Bonjour tout le monde. On behalf of New Democrats, I'm here to offer our full support for the Government of Canada's decision to recognize the State of Palestine. As you may know, the New Democrats have been pressing for recognition of a Palestinian state for some time now. It was an important part of the motion that we tabled in this Parliament last year that unfortunately the Liberals were not prepared to support at that time, but I'm glad to see that they have followed the New Democrats' lead and taken that suggestion up. We think it's an important step towards ending the conflict in that region. But good as it is, it's not enough, and we're calling on this government to follow through and follow up with this recognition by pressing Israel to cease its hostilities immediately, to have both parties agree to a ceasefire, and to immediately commence peace talks. It's long been Canada's position that a two-state solution is required, and it's our view that the only way that we're going to get a solution to the terrible bloodshed that we're seeing on all sides is to have a political resolution, which means having the parties sit down and negotiate a resolution to the root causes of this dispute, which is the lack of a viable, secure, sovereign Palestine living in peace with a viable, secure, sovereign Israel. I'm also here to call on this government to immediately commence negotiations with all the provinces and territories who have yet to sign pharmacare deals. Last Parliament we passed the Pharmacare Act. It's the law of the land, which obligates the federal government to commence negotiations with any province and territory who wishes to provide enough funding so that every citizen of that province and territory can have access to diabetic and contraceptive medications and devices with their health card, not their credit card. Now, this government has sent out confusing and mixed messages about what they intend to do on this, and we're here to say that millions of Canadians do not get the medication that they need and deserve, and there's millions of Canadians who are anxiously awaiting to be able to access diabetes medications and devices and contraceptive medications and devices with their health card. We did budget $1.5 billion last budget. There's still about 40% of that budgeted money is yet to be spent, and of course it was not intended that that would be all that would have to be budgeted for to make sure every province and territory can provide these essential medications to their citizens. So we're also calling on this government to back up not only their political promise but the law that they passed this last Parliament by ensuring that the upcoming budget has sufficient funds so that every province and territory that wants to can sign an agreement with the federal government to make sure that their citizens get these two very critical classes of drugs through the public health care system. Thank you, and I'll now turn this over to my colleague Alexandre Boulerice, who will provide these comments in French. Thank you.
Bonjour tout le monde, merci Don. Effectivement, on est ici aujourd'hui pour parler principalement de deux enjeux. On doit saluer la décision du gouvernement canadien, du gouvernement fédéral, de finalement reconnaître l'État palestinien comme à peu près 150 autres pays dans le monde. C'est une victoire symbolique, mais aussi une victoire diplomatique et politique. Ce n'est pas rien. Ça fait des années que les progressistes et nous, au NPD, on demande la reconnaissance de l'État palestinien, mais cette reconnaissance-là ne peut pas être la fin. Ça doit être le début de quelque chose, et le début de l'existence réelle d'un État palestinien. Alors, il faut que le gouvernement Carney continue ses efforts pour mettre de la pression sur le régime Netanyahou, obtenir un cessez-le-feu et engager un processus de pourparlers de paix. Cette reconnaissance de l'État palestinien doit être une perspective politique, avec un espoir de deux États qui vivent côte à côte en sécurité. Aujourd'hui, on est bien loin de ça, avec le génocide qui se passe sous nos yeux, avec les atrocités, les crimes de guerre, mais il doit y avoir un lendemain. Et c'est le premier jour de ce lendemain-là qu'on espère que ça signifie, mais ça doit prendre des gestes courageux, des gestes forts qui doivent suivre cette reconnaissance-là du peuple palestinien, de l'État palestinien. Par la suite, ce qu'on demande aussi aujourd'hui, on le voit un peu partout avec notre système de santé qui s'écroule avec la crise dans les hôpitaux. Il y a des choses que le gouvernement libéral, sous la pression du NPD, s'est déjà engagé à faire. Et on doit poursuivre, par exemple, l'effort d'instaurer une assurance médicaments. Et le premier pas d'une assurance médicaments, c'est ce que nous, on a obtenu, c'est-à-dire de payer les médicaments pour les personnes qui sont enceintes, donc les contraceptifs, mais également pour les personnes souffrant de diabète. Il y a déjà 3 provinces et un territoire qui ont signé des ententes avec le gouvernement fédéral, mais le gouvernement libéral a l'obligation, c'est sa promesse, son engagement, de continuer d'aller de l'avant, d'avoir des ententes avec les provinces sur une assurance médicaments en ce qui concerne ces 2 groupes de citoyens et citoyennes-là. Et on va regarder si les libéraux agissent dans le domaine de la santé, particulièrement des assurances médicaments. Maintenant, on est prêt à prendre vos questions.
Can we get your reaction to the guns announcement today?
Well, first of all, I think all Canadians were quite disturbed to see the minister's private comments that basically, contradicted his public position with respect to gun policy. I mean, it's classic Liberals saying one thing in public and another thing behind closed doors. Frankly, it was shocking to see the minister responsible for implementing the gun buyback program essentially say that it can't work and there's not enough money there. And they won't be able to pay the gun owners what they're entitled to for the weapons that are purchased. I think it's bizarre, actually, to see a minister who, so completely contradict his public pronouncements. Our primary focus as New Democrats is that all communities should be safe, and that we think that we need credible, reasonable and effective gun laws in this country, and it's not served when a minister is, essentially saying one thing to the public and another thing behind closed doors.
So Police Vien say the SKS should have been added to the list, but it was not. Any thoughts on that?
Well, there's thousands of weapons, and I don't think politicians are particularly well placed to pronounce on a particular gun or not. I'll leave that to the experts and in consultation with stakeholders, including gun owners themselves and police. So I think that we all want the same thing. We want, unsafe weaponry off our streets and not in our communities while preserving the rights of Indigenous people and hunters to access the weapons that they use responsibly. But what we need is a credible process, not a minister who is, essentially being dishonest with the public and trying to sell us on a program that he privately doesn't think will work.
Just one last quick question on the guns. Sure. Does this program sound feasible to you based on what you've heard from police agencies saying they don't have the resources to enforce the gun buyback, and now even hearing the minister have his own doubts, and you're just starting off with a pretty small pilot project in Cape Breton before they try to roll this thing out nationally?
Well, the Liberal minister himself says it's not feasible. So he's the person charged with designing it and implementing it. If he doesn't have faith in the program, I don't think Canadians can.
Monsieur Boulerice, sur le programme de rachat, justement, après avoir entendu les propos du ministre, est-ce que vous pensez qu'il peut rester en poste?
Bien, je pense que ça serait difficile. On voit ici toute l'hypocrisie libérale qui, en privé, alors qu'il est enregistré, dit une chose, alors qu'il est ministre d'un gouvernement qui est responsable de ce même programme-là. Alors, s'il n'est pas bien géré puis il n'est pas bien financé, c'est en partie de sa responsabilité. Il ne peut pas s'en débarrasser puis s'en laver les mains. Puis en plus de ça, par le biais, un peu blâmer le Québec, alors que ça n'a aucun rapport avec les événements puis avec le programme. Donc, je pense que c'est difficile, ça serait un peu insultant pour beaucoup de monde que ce ministre-là demeure.
Est-ce que, si je reviens dans le passé, le ministre Mendicino aussi a eu des problèmes avec ce dossier-là. Est-ce que vous trouvez qu'il y a un problème chronique de ministre responsable de ce dossier-là au sein du gouvernement libéral? Est-ce que ça dit quelque chose selon vous, là?
Mais je pense que ce qu'on voit à répétition avec les libéraux, c'est que dans le dossier des armes à feu, on dirait que c'est une anguille qui est dans leurs mains puis ils ne sont pas capables de savoir exactement comment la prendre puis ça s'enfuit. C'est un dossier complexe, ceci étant dit. Puis comme l'a dit Don Davies, c'est pas à nous autres, les politiciens, de dresser la liste des experts des armes à feu puis des modifications puis des nouveaux modèles. C'est complexe. Mais c'est le travail du gouvernement de le faire, par contre. Et une chose est sûre au NPD, c'est que les armes qui servent à tuer le maximum de personnes le plus vite possible ne doivent pas se retrouver dans les rues. On ne veut pas avoir de revolvers et d'armes à feu illégales. On voit l'effet que ça a eu à Montréal dans les dernières années, tout en respectant les droits des Premières Nations et leurs traditions, et également la possibilité pour les chasseurs qui respectent la loi de faire leurs activités.
The pharmacare piece. Have you had a chance to speak with Minister Michel at all just about trying to see what the status is, if there are any negotiations ongoing, or if they're trying to initiate these negotiations with any provinces?
No, I haven't yet had a chance to do that, but I did meet with the Canadian Health Coalition this week, and also with Linda Silas, who's the president of the Canadian Federation of Nurses Unions, and they both are in close touch with the provincial governments, and those provincial governments want to know that they've got a consistent, strong partner in the federal government that will actually come to the table with them and provide the monies that they promised so that they can actually get on with delivering those medications. Anyway, thank you. Thank you. Merci beaucoup.
Your impressions on that?
Look, this probably will lose me votes, but I actually like the NFL.
Yeah.
I'm a big NFL fan.
Okay.
I don't care whether they systematize things. I always thought it was a bit silly to have the goalposts in the middle of the end zone, so that's kind of cool if they're moving them back. But otherwise, that's fine. And I like the different rule changes in the CFL. I think it makes our game unique. And I think the rule changes, they're minor fixes, and if it makes the game more accessible to a market that sometimes has difficulty attracting fans, then I think it's kind of cool. And if it allows the players that are coming here from the U.S. to adapt a little more seamlessly, that's kind of cool too. But we're a different game. It's a different set of rules and different fan base. But I will admit my bias for the NFL, sadly, and hopefully it doesn't lose me votes in Montreal.
For sure. Do you think some of the rule changes, particularly the shortening the field, kind of diminishes the Canadian identity?
Yeah, I don't know why they're shortening the field. That was the one dumb thing I thought. I didn't see the reason, right? And the end zone's probably too big. That's just my amateur opinion on things.
Gotcha.
But otherwise, they seem like minor fixes.
Who's your NFL team?
What's that?
Who's your NFL team?
Oh, God. I've been an NFL tourist. I was always a Brett Favre fan growing up, and even younger, Detroit Lions, sadly, when I was watching Barry Sanders as a kid. So I kind of just floated from team to team. When I was in New York City, I liked the Jets because the Giants fans were horrible.
Yeah.
But my current fan's the Ravens. My current team's the Ravens.
And Al's on the Canadian side?
Yeah. Thanks. All right, see ya.
I was raised an Argo fan. My father, back in the day, Terry Greer, Holloway. But no, I've really, really enjoyed the Rider Nation. It's just amazing. I try and take in a game at least once a year, if time permits.
Any thoughts on the rule changes that were announced yesterday?
You know what? I know there's been a lot of mixed reactions to it. I understand what they're trying to do. Trying to probably create more touchdowns versus field goals would be in my mind, moving the uprights back, creating more room for touchdowns, and probably harder to get more field goals. So I think the jury's still out on that, but I'll still be watching CFL. I love all the teams. It's better than the NFL any day. Do
you think some of the rule changes take away from that Canadian identity of the league?
I don't think so. Still 3 downs. 3 downs is, it's a lot more difficult playing football with 3 downs, and the fields are still wider, so there's a lot more room to maneuver on the outside. And it's just it's an amazing sport. It's a Canadian sport, and I have favorites all across this country. The Saskatchewan fans are probably some of the best in the world. From Calgary, the Stampeders, Edmonton, who grew Iron Moon, sort of thing. And I can't start naming all of them, but so.
Awesome. And I apologize. I mistook you for Randy Hillback.
That's all right. You know what? He's my doppelganger.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
I'm going to take a wait-and-see approach. Okay. On the one hand, if I wanted the field goal uprights at the back of the end zone, and if I wanted a shorter field or no rouges, I can watch NFL any day that I want. But at the same time, we only have one professional sports team in the whole province, so we kind of have to support them no matter what. So I'll take a wait-and-see approach, but I'm sure that the CFL will be able to iron out any kinks with the new rules, and I'm sure we'll be good.
Just on your first point, do you feel as though some of the rule changes took away from that Canadian identity that the league has?
Oh, well, sure. I mean, the rouge, you can't have the CFL without the rouge.
It's a modified rouge. They still have it. But
okay. Oh, I thought they were getting rid of it.
No. So if the returner kneels the ball or doesn't get out of the end zone, then it's fine. But if the ball goes back at the end zone, then it doesn't count anymore.
Okay. Well, I'll have to tune in, and I'm sure it'll be good.
Fair enough. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks.
We've just witnessed the Carney Liberals vote in favor of keeping the oil and gas production cap. Every Liberal just voted to keep in Justin Trudeau's policy of capping the production of Canadian oil and gas. What does that mean? It means Mark Carney has decided to keep the failed Liberal policy that chased away billions of dollars of investment in the Canadian energy sector. The Parliamentary Budget Officer, the independent budget watchdog, estimates that this policy will cost the Canadian economy $20 billion in lost GDP. There was an announcement this week. TC Energy, used to be called TransCanada Energy, investing $8.5 billion in the energy sector in the United States. Keeping this production cap in place will mean more stories like TC Energy, Canadian companies taking investment dollars out of Canada, investing in the United States. It also will mean lost jobs. At a time when employment is going up, as young people struggle to find work, this production cap will kill thousands of opportunities for young men and women going into the skilled trades. It'll also deprive provincial governments of much-needed revenue collected in royalties to pay for roads, schools, and hospitals. Today's vote proves that Mark Carney is just trying to pull another bait-and-switch, saying one thing during the election when he needed Canadians' votes, pretending that he would do things differently from Justin Trudeau, but after the election, when the chips are down, when the vote is taken in the House of Commons, he stands up and does exactly the same thing that Liberals have been doing for the last 10 years, attacks our energy sector, and votes to keep our oil and gas in the ground. Alors, les députés libéraux, le Premier ministre Mark Carney a eu son équipe de voter contre une motion pour retirer le cap sur le développement de l'huile et l'essence. C'est un signe solide que Mark Carney est juste comme Justin Trudeau. Il va garder en place toutes les mêmes politiques qui ont échoué que Justin Trudeau a implémentées. C'est le résultat de cette vote aujourd'hui. Veut dire que les milliards de dollars vont continuer de quitter le Canada pour les autres pays, notamment les États-Unis. Une compagnie énergétique, TC Energy, a annoncé qu'elle va investir 8,5 milliards de dollars dans les projets énergétiques dans les États-Unis. Alors, avec cette cap sur la production d'énergie canadienne, les Canadiens doivent voir encore et encore les mêmes histoires. Les dollars d'investissement qui quittent notre pays pour les États-Unis. Les politiques de Mark Carney font des gains pour les Américains et les Canadiens doivent payer le prix. Happy to take any questions. All right. Thanks very much, everyone.